While recording our best of 2020 deliberations podcast, I asked Chris, my co-host, what he thinks caused my desire to be a completionist when it comes to idol shows. And it wasn't until I think our previews and here recently that I kind of realized I want to say that Cinderella Girls was that spark. And it was a series that aired quite a while back, but I do kind of remember that being kind of this pinnacle point in my love for idol shows that I think has stuck with me for a while now. And Idoly Pride was a show that I immediately was attracted to. One, because it's an original, and two, it had the writer for Idolmaster Cinderella Girls. Now, granted, it's his name is Tatsuya Takahashi. He wasn't the only writer. Noriko Takao was the director and writer as well, and so they were kind of working together. I'm not sure exactly who was responsible for that amazing 24th episode with Uzuki doing her performance, but that was like that sparking point, I think, for me. And of course, idol shows are typically very intriguing just for the aspect that most all of them have that underdog story. They're the starting outs, the getting your stride, getting that performance going, gaining that viewership. It's something that we all, I think, can relate to. That idea of building up from the bottom up. And like I said, the moment that I seen Idoly Pride had that writer from Cinderella Girls, I immediately put it in my predictions for Gem of the Year, or this season, I mean. And so far, after watching 4 episodes of it, I am still sticking by that. I do believe this could end up being a gem of the season for sure, because it's just got all the makings of a really good story. And of course, it still has that lingering thing of like you've built up all these cards, and if they fail to land that landing, it's going to go downhill really quickly. So I'm not set in stone at the moment that it is 100% going to be a gem, but it has all the makings for it. And for those who don't know what Idoly Pride is, again, it's a series that is airing in the winter 2021 season, and it follows a guy named Kohei. And Kohei, right off the bat, it shows him with his group of idols, and they're about to go off to a performance, and then immediately jumps back 5 years where Kohei is still at school, and he meets a girl named Mana. And Mana immediately kind of grabs onto him just because he's sitting next to her and pulls him into the idol world. She's like, I want to become an idol. I want you to come with me at my audition. And when they get there, come to find out she was intentionally roping him into being basically her manager. And so he works alongside her as she joins the idol world and rises to the top. And with this particular idol show, they have this different thing to the actual rise to be an idol, and that is it's the Venus system, basically, where they use an AI to I guess rate the performances so that all the idols, when they're performing and competing, they're at an even level. It's like, I guess their fans don't affect how well they perform. They all go through this AI system, and she raised through this Venus system really quickly, all the way to the point where, as you would pretty much guess by the first scene and how he's saying, I hope you're there watching or whatever, she doesn't make it. She gets really close to being at the top stage, and then tragedy strikes. She passes away, and then it jumps forward 2 more years where he is still kind of staying in the idol world, and he's building a new group. He's still working at Hoshimi Productions, which is where he went to with Mana, and he is now building a group. And of course, we find out later that he is building it specifically as a group and not just a single, which was Mana. Mana was a solo idol, whereas you find out that the reason that he's doing that is because he's tested over the years, and he's realized that having a group with multiple people kind of raises their ability to rise up in the system. So Mana was essentially a fluke. Mana was this great idol that somehow broke the system, and he feels that he needs to build a group in order to be successful again. And as he's building this group, one of the people that is trying out is Mana's sister, Kotono. And Kotono comes in and she's wanting to become a member, but she's upset that it's supposed to be a group. She wants to be a solo, just like her sister, and she wants to rise up in the ranks just like her sister did, to kind of not necessarily beat her sister, but to get to the stage that her sister was going for before she unfortunately passed away. With her at the same time is a girl named Sakura. She, for some reason, just wanders in. She's had a feeling she had to go in there. Sakura is equally. She doesn't really. It's not like she's going for it, but she does know Mana. But as she sings in the audition, she has Mana's voice, and so they quickly snatch her up. And over time, they get a dorm. They bring in a huge cast of other girls to be part of this group. And now they're at the stage right now where they're training and getting better. And like I mentioned before, I do think this is going to be a gym. And I think a lot of it has to do with how it opened up the story. It was really well put together. They had kind of this whole flashback thing with the ultra wide screen borders, giving you a really cool little glimpse of Kohei and what he's gone through, getting to this certain point. Obviously, the effects of Mana to the people, everybody really respects her and looks up to her. Just that legacy that she left behind before her unfortunate early passing. And I think, like I said, I think it has everything in place to make a really amazing story. And just based off of 4 episodes, we've already pretty much opened up the fact that the legacy that Mana left behind. I guess the other thing that I forgot to mention with the story is Mana's still around. She is a ghost, but only Kohei can see her. And as he's building up this idol group, she's always kind of there to give her remarks. Now, granted, she doesn't seem like she's not really that prominent, which is kind of a surprise. You would think that she'd be that character that's always bickering with him, always pushing him, always questioning him. But no, she just kind of pops up very rarely in an episode, makes a remark, and then kind of the scene moves on. Which is kind of an odd to, I guess, create this little quirk to the story when it doesn't seem like it's affecting things too much so far. Obviously, you get her avoidance of her sister. Obviously, she does not want to see her. But they also introduced another character that can see her as well, which is one of the idols. And maybe now that she's in the picture, we will see more effects of her, I guess, working with the group. But that remains to be seen. I am really curious. Obviously, there is a question here is if they are doing this whole thing, and the only reason she's there is because she wants to see her sister succeed, probably. And once she sees that, that'll be her unfinished business before she can finally pass on. But it's not that it's affecting the show. Like I said, she's not too prominent, but I am curious what her role is going to be in the end. But I think the overall story so far has been focusing a lot on Mana's legacy. And I think one of those aspects showing, of course, is to Kohei. She obviously pulled him into the idol world. He obviously wants to fulfill something for her. Kotono, which is the sister, obviously she is there because she wants to fulfill what her sister could not get to because of her unfortunate passing. And obviously Kotono is going to, I believe at some point, Kotono is going to have to realize that even though she thinks that she can achieve these things that Mana achieved, she's still missing one very important thing that Mana had that Kotono so far has not had. And that is like her spirit, her gusto, the thing that, from what little we've seen of Mana, she was a vibrant star even when she wasn't on the stage. She was this bubbly, happy, loving, warm person that Kotono doesn't have. She's very, very silent and doesn't want to be around people. Of course, that with the 4th episode, that seems to be changing a little bit. She's finally speaking up. She's obviously realized that this is something she has to do in order to succeed. But hopefully that it doesn't end up being a thing where she's doing it in order to succeed, not doing it in order to be, around people, to gain friends, to gain relationships and stuff like that. The other one, obviously, is Sakura. Now, it's odd because when Sakura first showed up, she sung at that audition. She said that she felt compelled to go in there. When she was in that audition, she had the same voice as Mana. She sung Mana's voice, and it sounded just like her. And of course, the question at that time was like, well, did she gain something from Mana? Because she claimed that she only recently started to sing like that. And so it at that point when she said that, it kind of put a thought in the back of my head that when Mana passed, she gained something from Mana. And it wasn't until the fourth episode. It sucked because I wanted to come on here and say my prediction. And then sure enough, in the fourth episode, out of nowhere, it was the new girl, May. I think it was May. May pointed out to Sakura, like, what's that on your chest? And she says, oh, that's a surgery scar. And it was like right there immediately. Mana was a donor. Sakura got something from her. What is that? And of course, Sakura also said that she was always weak. She's always been weak. She's always been kind of a ill girl. But so obviously she had some kind of surgery. Maybe she got Mana's heart, something that, of course, the goofy question there is like, how would she have Mana's voice if she got her heart? But it's anime. She's got something from her, something that is inside of her now from Mana, and that in turn is her voice. Well, maybe it might be a voice. I mean, that's way up here. I don't know why it would be down here, but we'll go with it. But yeah, it's Sakura having gotten something from Mana obviously is going to be some impactful thing. And it's funny because there's very few times when I'm watching anime that I get visibly upset or cheering or just wanting to jump off my chair. One of those moments was, of course, the episode 24 of Cinderella Girls, when that I was in tears and jumping up excited for her. And I had that almost same reaction a couple points in this particular show. One being the end of episode 4 after the cast scroll. I was mad. and granted, it's funny because technically you can look at the first episode and you know Sakura's not out of the picture. But I'm still mad because the moment that he said that, I forgot that she's in the first scene. I was mad because I hurt for Sakura. Like, this girl is so cute, so pure, and she's getting shut down like this with no explanation until the fifth episode comes out. I almost was hoping that was a fifth episode out. I'm like, I'm on a bad cliffhanger here. I'm mad. I'm tweeting about it. I'm texting Chris about it. I am super mad right now because this girl has just had her life shattered with one simple sentence from Kohei that he wants her out. And I'm not sure what they're going to do with this. I'm not sure if it's he wants to bring in Rei and that's going to make it even. But again, we know it's going to be even based on the first scene. Typically, I've always known groups with centers to have odds, but for some reason they have 10. But we know that she's coming back, but still it was like a thing of like, what is he pushing her out because he wants odds? Is he pushing her out because she's still physically weak? Is he pushing her out because he wants them to band together to fight back? If that's the case, I freaking hate Kohei and I despise that trope. We don't need to turn everybody against you in order to make them come together and then go, oh, I was just doing it for you guys to heat. And everybody goes, oh, you boo. But we'll see. We'll see. But it excites me for the series as a whole when a character being told you're out of the picture in a simple sentence in a few seconds can agitate me so much. I know at that point that I love these characters and I want these characters to succeed. And when it comes to an idol show, one of the number one most important things that you need to have is good characters that you root for. And it's already doing that for me. And so I really do want to see them succeed. And I do want to see more of this. And it is turning into a show that I am totally on board with and want to shout at the highest mountain for people to keep an eye on this. Now you can wait until the entire series ends and I do a review before you find out if it shapes up good, because we're technically only a third through it and it could go downhill from here. But so far it's been really solid. And I think, like I said, that's a lot to do with the earlier segments of it. It has to do with the just the connection to the characters, these little subplots with connections to Mana that is going to probably be something significant later. All that stuff kind of wrapped up together. Now, I did have a huge fear with this series after, like, the first couple episodes, I was sold so bad. But then the moment they introduced the group, I started getting a lot of pause. And that's mainly because it's a lot of characters. And you only have 12 episodes to work with. Now, granted, they can do another core later, but right now it's only 12 episodes. You're getting way too many characters to fill the cast for such a short period of time, which means we're probably not going to get into any of these characters, which I'm fine with. That's my point, is if you have a cast this big and you're working with so few episodes, don't get into each one of them. Don't try to backstory every single one of these characters because you don't have time to do that. Instead, I do like, so far, they're focusing on Mana, Sakura. Yeah, we got a little bit into Mei. We may get a little bit into Rei. But the rest of the cast is kind of there to accentuate the story and to give their own characters. Of course, because each of them have like an archetype. That's typically what they do with idols. Each one of them has an archetype. You have an Ojo. You have a silent character. You have a bubbly character. They're all kind of these archetypes that will accentuate the story. And I hope they stick with that. Unless they go 24, then they can start digging into people. But at the moment, stick with Mana's story, stick with her sister's story, stick with Sakura, and hit this story out of the park. Make that goal to reach what Mana wanted, fulfill her legacy, whatever you're doing. But it's working out so far, so great. And it looks great. It looks very beautiful. A lot of the shots are fantastically placed. No wonky character designs, which I am a stickler for. Whenever I see that stuff, I get angry, especially when you have a show that is really built around characters. You want them to look like they're supposed to, not look weird. So, yeah, looking forward to more of it. Excited so far. A little bit hesitant on the size of the cast. A little bit hesitant on the inclusion of the ghost, but everything, it's like those. I have those hesitations, but they're panning out. So they're not doing what I don't want them to do. They're sticking to the picture, and they're doing a good job. So, yeah, definitely, if any of this sounds interesting to you, definitely check out Idoly Pride. It is an exciting series for me so far. I'm into it. I am mad at it at the same time because of certain cliffhangers. But, yeah. So that's my thoughts on Idoly Pride. Definitely, if you guys like this video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and y'all take care.